crystal balls that reveal the future, mysterious symbols that bend the laws of nature, ancient books that summon powers from other worlds. Magic, perhaps the greatest taboo in human history. Religions banned it, kings feared it, even scientists covered it up. But what if everything we've been told is a lie? What if magic is a lost technology? Or even more terrifying, what if it's real? Throughout history, sorcerers were burned, books turned to ash, knowledge systematically destroyed. But why? Was it just for religious reasons? Or was there a deeper truth that needed to be hidden? The answer to this question might reveal one of humanity's greatest secrets. The end of the 19th century. The elite, enriched by the Industrial Revolution, became obsessed with Eastern mysticism. Secrets from the mountains of India, forbidden texts from Egypt. Everyone was gazing into crystal balls. This era was the golden age of spiritualism in the Western world. The wealthy were no longer satisfied with physical riches alone. They wanted spiritual power. Secret meetings were held in London, Paris, and New York. Seances, spirit summoning ceremonies, astral travels. The upper class spent fortunes trying to access invisible worlds. The most famous name, Aleister Crowley, a man from a wealthy family who studied theology at Cambridge, discovered that Christianity's roots lay in ancient beliefs. He joined the Golden Dawn Order and traveled the world. In Egypt, a woman telepathically transmitted the famous Book of the Law to him. At least that's what Crowley claimed. Crowley proclaimed himself the Great Beast 666. Liber al vel legis, the Book of the Law, was for him the beginning of a new religion. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, the fundamental principle of Thelema philosophy. But this philosophy of freedom quickly devolved into moral corruption. But you know what the truth is? Drugs, fake mysticism, sexuality. This is the real face of modern magic cults. From Golden Dawn to Bohemian Grove, they all follow the same formula: a con artist, curious people, and scandal behind the curtain. Other famous names of that period followed similar paths. Madame Blavatsky founded the Theosophical Society and claimed to bring Eastern wisdom to the West. But eventually, it was revealed that most of her astral messages were fabricated. Grigory Rasputin gained influence in the Russian Empire. But his real power wasn't magic, it was manipulation. But wait, this isn't the true meaning of magic. In ancient cultures, magic meant the power to control the fundamental building blocks of the universe. Modern frauds have distanced us from the truth. But if we set aside the fake, we discover an incredible reality. In the ancient world, magic was like today's science. It was systematic, education-based, a body of knowledge passed down through generations. In ancient Egypt, sorcerers were doctors, priests, and educators. The power they called Heka was the secret of creation. The gods created humans with this power. Heka is an invisible energy that surrounds everything and connects us all. In Egypt, there were institutions called Per Ankh, House of Life. These were like today's universities. Medicine, astronomy, mathematics, chemistry, architecture, everything was taught. And above all was Heka, the art of using universal power. Priests were taken from their families at ages 7 to 8 and trained for years in mathematics, astronomy, and alchemy. Knowledge thousands of years old was transmitted in the temples. Medical information, astronomical calculations, properties of substances, all were part of magic. The most authorized priests serving alongside the pharaohs had a say even in the state's most important decisions. In Egyptian papyri, we find healing spells, protective talismans, weather control. Today we laugh at these, but for that era, these were real science. For example, the Ebers Papyrus, a medical text from 1550 BCE, contains over 700 medicine recipes. Many have been found effective by modern medicine as well. Remember the story of Moses' staff. He throws his staff on the ground and it becomes a snake. Pharaoh's priests do the same thing. This is Heka, the power to change the nature of matter. In the Mayan civilization, priests directed the energies of time and space. Calendar systems weren't just for measuring time. They were for understanding universal cycles and harmonizing with these cycles. The Mayans believed that certain astronomical events created powerful effects on Earth. That's why they positioned their temples according to the stars and planned their rituals according to planetary movements. The Celts used seasonal cycles and medicinal plants. Druids, Celtic priests, believed every element of nature had a spirit. Sacred oak trees, stone arrangements, energy lines, all were used to channel universal power. Megalithic structures like Stonehenge weren't coincidental. They were built according to astronomical calculations and energy flows. Among the Sumerians, the word for magic was magi, meaning man of knowledge, the power that ensures the order of the universe. In Sumerian tablets, the concept of me, universal laws, appears. These weren't just physical laws. Social order, morality, art, technology, the principles underlying everything. The Sumerians believed that those who understood these me would obtain true power. The Sumerians believed this power was taught by the Anunnaki, the fundamental laws of nature, how to use these laws for their own benefit. Rapid transportation, weather control, creating living beings, things we call technology today, were magi to them. Enki, the Sumerian god of wisdom, taught the me to humans, but not everything. Some knowledge was given only to the initiated. Why? Because if knowledge is used without control, it becomes dangerous. This is similar to nuclear weapons technology today. We know it, but we don't teach it to everyone. Eastern civilizations were fortunate. Their archives were better preserved. And we discover Feng Shui, Vedic, Shinto, yoga. Wait, is yoga magic? Yes, absolutely. So is Reiki, so is Qi. They all use the same universal energy. Modern people think they're doing sports when they practice yoga, but that's not yoga's true purpose. Yoga means union in Sanskrit. Union with what? With universal consciousness, with cosmic energy. Asanas, postures, are just the beginning. The real power lies in pranayama, breath control, and meditation. Surprising, isn't it? Actually, it's not surprising at all. The word magic is misunderstood today. Its historical meaning, the fundamental structure of the universe and the person who controls this structure. In Eastern philosophies, this energy is qi, or kai, life force. But it's much more comprehensive. The fundamental power covering every corner of the universe. Just like in Sumerian and Egyptian beliefs. Thousands of kilometers apart, but the same concept. Isn't that interesting? In China, they channeled this energy through acupuncture. They mapped the body's energy meridians, learned which points to touch to heal which diseases. In the Japanese Shinto tradition, they use this energy to communicate with nature spirits. In Indian Vedic texts, it appears as prana, breath, life, universal power. Through meditation, yoga, and mantras, humans draw this energy to themselves. Over time, they master it, feel it, even see it. Chakras, energy centers in the body, are the foundation of this system. Kundalini awakening, so the rising of power dormant in the spine, is the result of years of training. But there's an important point here. These systems can be dangerous. When applied incorrectly, especially Kundalini activation, they can lead to serious physical and psychological problems. That's why traditional systems always have a guru, a teacher. Trying on your own is like a child playing with a toy gun. Tantric texts contain warnings. Before Kundalini is awakened, the nadis must be purified. Otherwise, the energy enters wrong channels and leads to madness. In modern times, thousands of people who ignored these warnings have experienced serious trauma. In 1978, a documentary for PBS in Indonesia, Dr. Lawrence meets a local healer named Chang, a Qigong master. Chang uses the energy he's accumulated through meditation to heal patients. In the documentary, he even ignites newspaper with this energy. The crew is shocked and returns with experts. Here's the strange part. The experts feel an energy like a physical electric pulse, but no technical equipment can measure it. John insists, this is a different form of energy than electricity. The team brings a voltmeter, nothing. EEG device, 0. Thermal camera, normal. But the people he touches clearly feel something. Some feel heat, some vibration, some a sensation like electric shock. This phenomenon wasn't unique to Chang. Similar cases were reported worldwide. Qigong masters in China, prana healers in India, Reiki masters in Japan, all displayed similar abilities, and all evaded scientific measurement. One theory. Perhaps this energy is outside the electromagnetic spectrum we know. Just like dark matter, we understand its existence from its effects, but can't observe it directly. One of modern physics' greatest mysteries is that 95% of the universe consists of invisible matter. Maybe what ancient people called qi is part of this invisible energy network. After days of research, he sees his teacher in a dream. You shared knowledge that should only be passed from teacher to student with everyone, he says. John retreats into seclusion and never meets with the TV crew again. But the recordings he left behind are still being debated today. So can this energy be used for evil? Of course. The universe is built on duality. Hot, cold, light, dark, positive, negative, yin, yang. Someone who can make a healing ointment can also make a poisonous one. They can manipulate healing energy to cause harm. This is black magic. Throughout history's dark pages, black magic has always existed. People used this power for envy, revenge, power. Love spells, curses, sending disease. All were misuses of the same energy. Medieval grimoires, magic books, describe horrific rituals. The Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon, contains methods for summoning 72 demons. Each has a special seal, summoning time and offering. But there's also a warning. Never perform a summoning without a protective circle. Otherwise, your soul is in danger. But the most dangerous, spirit summoning and necromancy, communicating with the souls of the dead, controlling them. Necromancers in ancient Greece, priests in Mesopotamia, witches in Europe, all dabbled in this forbidden art. Why is necromancy so forbidden? Because opening the doors to the world of the dead wasn't limited to just summoning spirits. Some texts say these rituals also allow other entities to pass through from the other side. Like Pandora's box, once opened, it can't be closed. The story of King Solomon is the best example of this. Thanks to a special seal, he ruled over the fundamental forces of nature and the jinn. The instant transportation of the Queen of Sheba Belkas's throne to Solomon's palace. all thanks to secret knowledge called magical power. Solomon's seal, the six-pointed or five-pointed star, is considered one of history's most powerful talismans. With this seal, 72 jinn were under his control. Each had special abilities. Some brought knowledge, some found treasure, some healed diseases. But the seal was just a tool. The real power was Solomon's training and knowledge, divine names, special words, rituals. Without knowing all of these, the seal had no power. Throughout history, people used these techniques to harm their enemies. Blood rituals, symbols, personal items like hair. In the 18th century BCE, the Babylonian king Hammurabi added sorcery to the laws. If you're guilty, you'll be killed. Article 2 of Hammurabi's code clearly states, "If a man accuses another man of sorcery and cannot prove it, the one accused of sorcery shall go to the river and dive into the river. If the river takes him, his accuser shall take his house. If the river clears him and he returns safely, the one who accused him of sorcery shall be killed." This is the ordeal, divine judgment system. It was believed the gods would decide. But in reality, it was a political tool, a legal way to eliminate unwanted people. The Torah, Bible, Quran, all prohibited magic as the work of the devil. The papacy organized witch hunts. Tens of thousands of people were killed. The witch hunts were one of the darkest periods in human history. From the 15th to the 18th centuries, Europe turned into a bloodbath. Inquisition courts, torture chambers, stakes. Most were innocent people. Knowledgeable women, healers, local physicians, all became targets. Malleus Maleficarum, The Hammer of Witches, was published in 1487. This book was a guide to identifying, interrogating, and killing witches. It became the most printed book in Europe after the Bible. It described horrific torture methods, and worst of all, it targeted women. Female nature is weak, more open to the devil's deception, it said. It wasn't just religious, but political reasons. Knowledge meant power. Every piece of knowledge reaching the public diminished the power of the church and kings. That's why books were burned, scholars were killed. Now the most shocking part. Science was born from magic. Science, understanding nature through systematic observation and experiments. Its origin, to know, to understand, to research. Magic, manipulating nature by using the fundamental power of the universe. Its origin, wisdom, wise person. Both teach us to use the forces of nature for our own benefit. Science teaches us to split the atom to obtain energy or make a bomb. Magic did the same thing through different methods. String theory. The fundamental building blocks of the universe consist of strings vibrating at certain frequencies. If you change the frequency, you change matter. Does Moses' staff turning into a snake start to make a bit more sense? Modern physics tells us this. Everything is energy. E equals mc squared. Einstein's famous equation. Matter and energy can transform into each other. The atomic bomb is the most brutal proof of this. A tiny amount of matter transforms into horrific energy. So how did ancient people know this? How did they understand that matter was vibration before discovering string theory and quantum mechanics? Quantum field theory. The universe consists of quantized things, vibrating at their core. There's no concept of void. Everything is connected by a quantum network. In 1948, Casimir showed we could one day produce energy from this field. The Casimir effect. Between two metal plates, a force is created due to quantum fluctuations. Energy from empty space. Not science fiction, real physics. Maybe ancient sorcerers were using this energy. These two questions. How did the first people know this? And how did they use it? Technology or brain power? This question is one of the greatest mysteries in the history of science. For example, ancient Egyptians performed precise surgical operations. Skull trepanation, intervention in the brain, was being done in 3000 BCE, and the patients survived. How? No antibiotics, no modern sterilization, no anesthesia. But they succeeded. Or the Baghdad battery, an electrochemical cell from 200 BCE. Had ancient people discovered electricity? Were they using it? If so, for what? The Antikythera mechanism, an analog computer from 100 BCE. It calculates planetary movements, predicts eclipses. Such a complex mechanism couldn't be made even 1,000 years later. These examples tell us this. Ancient people were far more advanced than we think. Maybe what we call magic really is a lost technology. Or perhaps the human brain has abilities we haven't discovered yet. This energy will continue to exist until the universe ends. One day we'll use it as an energy source, manipulate it, create what we want from this raw energy. Maybe in 100 years, maybe in 1,000 years. But eventually, science and ancient wisdom will meet. Quantum computers, fusion reactors, brain-computer interfaces. These are just the beginning. The real revolution will come when we learn to use universal energy directly. Nikola Tesla said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Perhaps Tesla was one of the last great names trying to reach ancient wisdom through modern science, using it for our health, changing our lives, feeling that we're part of the whole. All depends on our individual development. Meditation is not a placebo. Reiki is not fraud. Yoga is not just exercise. These are all surviving fragments of thousands of years of wisdom in the modern world. If you live your life in patterns where others tell you this is good, that is bad, when you hear the word magic, you'll say, "God forbid," and throw away thousands of years of knowledge. The easy path is always wrong. Keeping alive takes a lifetime. Killing takes a second. Building takes months. Destroying takes minutes. Spiritual evolution takes a lifetime. Being deceived takes a moment. Choose the paths, disciplines, and life that will refine you. Let's meet in the comments. We're curious about your thoughts. And remember, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again. Some knowledge should not be learned. Some names should never be spoken.